In this video, we're going to be looking at exponential expressions and how to evaluate them, which just means basically figuring out what the answer is. All right, so an exponent is just a shortcut that we use to represent repeated multiplication. So when we look at these following examples, so exponents have to do with multiplication. All right, so we want to evaluate these exponents. The first one is 2 to the third power. All right, the most common mistake students will make with exponents is to say 2 to the third is 6 because 2 times 3 is 6. All right, but if we want to do 2 times 3, we just write it like that with them on the same level. All right, but the exponent, it's in the kind of upper corner there. This represents that we have 3 different copies of 2. So 1 copy of 2, 2 copies of 2, and 3. And again, it's multiplication, so 2 times 2 is 4, times another 2 is 8. So 2 cubed is 8. 3 squared, we have 2 copies of 3. So we just do 3 times 3, and that's 9. 4 to the fourth, we have 4 copies of 4. And just multiply them one at a time, so 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4 is 64. And 64 times 4 is 256. All right, so exponents, whenever you have this superscript number up here, that's just how many copies of that number you have. All right, here's where notation is going to be important. All right, these two problems look the same, but they are slightly different. So order of operations says I do exponents first, and then I do subtract, or well, then I would do multiplication stuff, and then I would do subtraction. So for this one, this is saying that I square everything inside of this parentheses. So this would equal -2 times -2. And it's really important to remember when you multiply negatives, the negatives cancel, and it's going to be +4. So in this case, -2 in parentheses squared is going to give me +4. This one, the exponent only applies to the thing just next to it. So this one would be the same as if I had put parentheses here. All right, the exponent 2 is only being applied to that first 2, not the minus sign. If we want to include the minus sign, we need the parentheses. This one, the minus sign just kind of stays at the front. And then we have 2 squared is 2 times 2, which is going to give us -4. All right, so when the minus side is included and we square it, they're going to cancel out and give me a positive sign. When the negative sign is not included, all right, when it looks like this, you square this part first, and then you just have an extra minus sign at the front. So although they look really similar, all right, the final answers are going to be different. All right, so here's one for you to try on your own. Again, think about that last slide and what the final answer for this should be. All right, and the final answer is -27. Again, because this negative sign is not in with the 3. So we do 3 cubed first, that's 27, and then we had that kind of negative sign in front. All right, so -27 is the correct answer in this case. If it was this instead, that would actually also be -27. All right, but just knowing that this is slightly different because there would be 3 copies of -3. All right, the other thing we'll have to do in the skill check is evaluating expressions that have exponents in them. Really nothing different. It's really just the order of operations, just being careful with your exponents. So you have 3x squared when x is -2. All right, whenever you're plugging something in, it's always a good idea to put it in parentheses. So I'm replacing the x with a -2. So I'm going to put that -2 in parentheses. Right, if you didn't write the parentheses, it would look like this. And then you don't know, is that a -2 squared or is that -2 squared? All right, so putting in parentheses helps me know that I do my exponent first. And we saw previously -2 squared is going to be +4. And my final answer is 12. All right, so using your parentheses, it seems like extra work, but it's going to help you keep you from making mistakes. So in this next one, same thing. -2 is going in for x, that's squared, minus -2 cubed. And just like in the last one, -2 squared is going to be +4, minus -2 cubed is going to be -8, because you have 3 copies of -2. 2 of the negatives cancel into a positive, but you saw this one extra negative, so your final answer is negative. And then for, again, subtracting a negative is going to be the same as adding, and that's 12. All right, so again, just use your parentheses. Don't think it's like extra work. It's going to help you keep you from making mistakes. So putting parentheses around the things you're plugging in is going to make it more accurate. All right, here's the one for you to try on your own. All right, evaluate this expression when x is -1. And here's the solution I got. I got -1. -1 cubed is still -1. Again, there's 3 negatives, so 2 cancel, but there's 1 left over. -1 squared is just +1. All right, multiplication next, and then you can add to get your final answer. All right, so go ahead and practice doing these exponentials. Again, mainly just thinking about what the difference between these two things is, and the fact that you're just thinking about exponents as repeated multiplication. All right, just keep track of your negatives.